Hello friends, and welcome to our hips class. Hips are fun to stretch. They're a very powerful joint with a lot of range of motion. So hip stretches, depending on if you are someone who holds a lot of tension in your hips, can be very intense. So we're going to have a block today, and we're going to be using our deep breathing techniques. So breathing maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth, and really focusing on matching your exhalations to your inhalations to support your body. So we are starting in a standing position, and we're just going to start by bringing the left leg back. So right leg is forward, and we're going to enter a warrior one. So with the warrior one, your back leg is supposed to be 45 degrees. Now this depends on the shape of your hips. So if it's parallel to the back of the mat, that's okay. Another option is to always go up on the toes. Then we're going to drive the weight forward into our right leg, and we're looking to track the knee above the ankle in this posture. We can lift the arms above the head. We can take the hands to the back of the head as well. Think of drawing the legs together. Be really, really heavy through that back leg. Sometimes we can drive a lot of weight into our front leg in this posture, and it can be a lot for the hip flexor. See if you can shift some of the weight to that back heel, just to take the pressure off. And you can see how I'm constantly deepening into the posture. We're going to take our hands now to the back of our head, and we're going to open up towards our bent leg. So think of moving the center of the chest, the heart, to the leg. And if you want, you can open the arms. I find this can be a little bit heavy on the upper traps. So if you want to open the arms, that's okay. If you want to keep them behind your head, that's a great option. We're going to go back to center, and we're just going to switch the legs. So other side. Take a moment to find what feels stable for you. I find in this posture it can be nice sometimes to take a wider stance, so the feet are a little bit wider to give your hips more space to move. We sort of want both of our hip points to be facing forward, okay, which can be tricky. It might mean you have to take a wider stance. Let's take the hands to the back of the head, or you can raise the arms up. And breathing, trying to shift weight into that back pinky toe. So like if you can get that back pinky toe heavy on the mat, that'll really help you out. Good. So now we're going to come up onto the toes for this variation. Lifting the hands up again for the twist, just so you can see the difference. So I like going up on the toes. It's actually more difficult because you really have to be aware of engaging that back leg. Good. Think of drawing the legs together, opening up the arms if you want, or keeping the palms on the back of the head. And we'll unwind ourselves, and now we'll come back to the center. Nice work. So for this next posture, right leg is bent, left leg is back. So exactly the same as before, but if you can go a little bit longer. So I'm really looking for that 90-degree bend in that front leg. And I'm taking my block or raised surface or book to my inner thigh. And I want my elbow, you can see I'm pressing my elbow against my leg. Then I'm going to take my top arm to the back of my head and try and open the chest up towards the ceiling. Try and be really heavy through that back leg. So the outer toes are rolling down towards the mat and your inner thigh is engaged. Always pressing the arm against the leg. This is a really intense stretch for the outer hip. If you want to make it more intense, you can straighten the arm here. Good. Another variation is to lower the block, or take the hand all the way to the floor or the thigh. The actual posture is the outside of the leg with the arm lifted. So these are all the different variations that you can take with this posture, but I like to start with a block just on the inside of the thigh. So let's go now to the other side. So picking up your block and just switching the feet around and taking a minute to find where it feels stable. Place the block down on the inner thigh and now press the elbow right into that leg. Press the leg into the elbow. This is going to help open up the outer hip. Then we're going to take our hand to the back of our head and lift up. So think of lifting the chest either towards me or if you can towards the ceiling, but we don't want the chest pointed down. And we really want to be rolling onto those back pinky toes. And oh yeah, remember to breathe. Also, nice deep breaths. You can lift the hand up. Good. So you can take a second variation if you like. So we can put the block either on the ground, the elbow on the knee, or on the outside and raising the arm up. Maybe that's for another time. So come up back to parallel. So now we're setting up for a twist. So our right leg is bent, our left knee is back. Left knee goes on the ground, tuck the left toes. Now we're just gonna lift our belly button away from our right thigh. Trying to stack the knee above the elbows, you're gonna lift the left arm up, and as you exhale, take the left elbow to the outside of the right knee and take your hands into a prayer position. This is a really nice twist. If you feel energy, you can lift that back leg up. So you think of the back of the thigh lifting up towards the ceiling, like really strong through that back heel. Think of squeezing the hips together and opening up through the chest. Good. Come back to the center. And rise back up to the middle, feet parallel, and we're switching sides. So right leg is back now, right knee is on the ground. You can tuck the toes, or if it's more comfortable, go on the top of the foot. I personally like the toes tucked because it takes the pressure off the knee. This time, right arm is raised and we wrap it around the left thigh, taking your hands to prayer. Now you can't see my hands, but your hands should be together sort of in front of your heart. And you can see here that my knee is dropping a little bit back behind the ankle. Try not to do this. It's kind of an escape. So try and move the knee up over the ankle if you can for a deeper stretch in the hip flexor. And your options are the same. So the back leg, you can either drop the knee or straighten it. Good. Come back to the center and just take a few breaths here. Good. Inhale, come back, parallel. And now we're just going to pop ourselves into a down dog. Lift the left leg up. You can bend it here to get a little hip stretch. It's nice. And we're just going to swing the left leg forward, landing it down on the ground. So we're going to be doing pigeon pose or kapotasana pose. And I'm going to show you a little bit better what I'm doing with my leg. So I've got my left leg here. And what I like to do is take the left heel to the inner left thigh first, and then bring the right leg back. We're trying to get in our minds both hips to the ground. So this is a really intense hip stretch. Another thing that you can do here is grab that block and place it under the bent leg, so under the left butt. And just to make sure that your pigeon pose is a little bit active, another thing you can do is actually lift the hands off the ground if that feels possible. So here I'm just doing a little lift, because to do this you really need to squeeze your hips in and make sure that you're actually using the muscles and not just dropping yourself into the pose. This is the option for sleeping pigeon. So I've walked my hands forward over the bent leg. And now you're just breathing into the sensations. So take the variation you need. You can stay up like this on your fingertips, or you can go down towards the ground on elbows or hands all the way down. Totally up to you. Remembering those long, deep breaths. You can also turn your belly button and chest towards the bent knee. Good. We're going to press the hands down, bring ourselves back up into a down dog. This time, right leg pops up. You can bend the knee if you want, if you feel like it today. And inhale forward, landing the foot down. So the more traditional pigeon pose actually is your foot goes, your left foot would go, sorry, your right foot would go behind the left hand. But what we're doing now is we're bringing it closer to the hip. So rather than the foot being parallel to the mat, it's actually going to be back towards the hip. It's a little bit friendlier for our knee, actually. So we're only here for a couple minutes. So get comfortable, deep breathing, focusing your awareness on the sensations that you're feeling in the hips. Always an option to come into sleeping pigeon, so placing the elbows or forearms on the ground and coming down towards the floor any amount. And taking your time to come back up. I'm just showing you the option of placing a block under the butt as well. That can be really good for, just give yourself a little bit more space to go into the pose. If the pose is too intense, our bodies tend to lock up a little bit. So we'll just push ourselves back into a down dog here. And just kind of rinse out whatever just happened. So your hips are going to feel something. You can pedal out the legs and just pop yourself to a seated position. Okay, we're going to do a nice gentle twist here. So left arm comes up, right arm to the left knee. Show you from the side. So I'm actually using my left arm to support my back while I do this so that the twist doesn't come too much from my back. And other side, right arm goes back, left arm to right knee, and just open the sternum up. Awesome. And we're just going to roll onto our backs here. This is just a nice little twist. So both knees travel to the left side. You can straighten the legs if that's available. But even if I can straighten the legs, I often like to keep them bent in this posture. And your right arm is just reaching out. And we're kind of looking for the stretch in the outer hip. So you might have to do that thing where you wiggle around a little bit and try and figure out where your body needs to be in order to feel that stretch. And we'll just come back to center, exhale, other side. So we're just doing this really quick, but I just wanted to show you some poses so that you can always spend longer in these poses 3 to 5 minutes is a minimum for restorative poses. So if you feel like you want to explore some of these a little more, the options are definitely there. So come back to center. You can rock the knees in a little bit. Give yourself a hug. And then for our last one, I've just given you legs up the wall, which is something you can do any day. This is an amazing posture just to help regulate blood flow in the body. And you can stay here for as long as you want. I suggest a minimum of 3 minutes. And this is a good posture to do at the end of any sequence. So especially the more active sequences, you could take this pose for maybe 8 to 10 minutes. You can do this on your bed or against a wall at home. You can put a pillow underneath your pelvis to make it a bit softer. You can take the arms to the side or up like I have behind the head or above the head. So thank you again so much for coming to your practice. Again, like I said, consistency is so important, and it's the main thing. So thank you so much.